Other than cheating, what secret do you keep from your sir to prevent upsetting them? My wife thinks that our betta fish Mojito lived for like 5 years. What she doesn't know is that the role of Mojito has been played by 3 separate betta fish over that time. RIP Mojito 2 and 3. The first piece of jewelry I bought my wife was a necklace. We went on holiday and she lost it. I said I would replace it, but it wasn't the same. She was upset that she'd lost it for sentimental reasons. I emailed the hotel and of course they hadn't found it. So I bought a replacement and told my wife they found it. The remote didn't disappear. I accidentally put it through the washing machine and destroyed it and threw it out in a panic. My SO's first language isn't English. He always says really much instead of a lot. I won't tell him it's incorrect. I love when he says I love you really much. My mom wrote me a note once for missing a homework assignment. Unfortunately, her handwriting and spelling was so bad that the teacher grilled me for trying to weasel my way out by forging it. My mom didn't finish middle school and is not highly educated. I was so embarrassed that I decided to just take the detention and public ridicule from the teacher as a liar, then ask my mom to back me up. I now have a master's degree to make her proud. F you, Mr. Richardson. 40% of my company was laid off systematically over a 2-year period. I built up my resume, networked and made sure I had a place to land if shit hit the fan. I also worked my ass off at the job to make sure I was the one they kept if they did not go under. Ended up staying with company, getting a raise and a promotion, and was pretty instrumental in turning the company around. She and the kids have no idea how close we were to losing my job and then subsequently our home. I still remember sobbing in the shower and giving myself a pep talk in the mirror many mornings and saying, "You can do it, just put all the fear out of your mind and be mentally tough." I am notoriously difficult to surprise. I ask too many questions and it bothers me when things don't add up. My husband was so proud of the fact that he kept his proposal a surprise and I didn't expect it. In reality, I texted my best friend the day before with a list of 6 reasons why I suspected he was going to propose to me that weekend. I'm not going to tell him though. The proposal was really sweet and he put so much thought into it. GF locked her keys in her running car with her dog inside when picking up her daughter from daycare. I lied and said I had AAA so it'd be free to get lockout service. In reality, I ordered AAA on the spot and paid the extra to have same-day service so she didn't have something else to worry about. I contacted the DVLA about her aunt, who then got a letter saying she needed to be assessed before being allowed to drive. She's 83. I think she clearly has the beginnings on dementia. She stops if she has to go past a lorry, can't see in the dark, and has no peripheral vision. I personally didn't think she should be in charge of a high-speed chunk of metal. The whole family was so angry that someone betrayed them, but I've convinced them that sometimes doctors have to contact DVLA if someone has a specific medical condition and it's probably an automated thing and not personal. They seem to believe me. My so snores. Been with her 19 years and she snores every night. Mostly I can get to sleep and I sleep through it, but I know I am not getting great sleep. I've asked her to see if we can do something about it. Even suggested we do didgeridoo lessons together. The breathing technique does wonders for snoring, and why not learn a weird instrument? She's never really bothered. Her snoring can manifest as sleep apnea, which besides just not being good, is a contributor to anxiety, which she has, so it'd be good for her too. So, we've recently moved. 2 nights ago the next door neighbor's dog was barking in the middle of the night and kept her up for an hour or 2. She kept mentioning it all day and kept telling me how tired she was. I gave some perfunctory sympathy but no more, because secretly it was all I could do to not say, "Welcome to every night in my life." It's not a big secret, but yeah. His favorite dip is like 80% mayo. He has a terrible aversion to mayo. His mom has made it when he's not been around his whole life. And now I continue the charade. It's a really good dip. Every time before we leave the house I play a game where I try to guess what she's going to need while we're out and I grab it, e.g., warm hat, an extra set of gloves, a small snack, inhaler, battery pack for phone, etc. Sometimes I like to slip it into her bag or purse without her noticing. Other times I reveal that I had it all along in a critical moment. My wife once did the joke, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" To get to the idiot's house. Knock knock. "Who's there?" "The chicken." Over text with me. I fell for it because I knew it would make her happy. She loves talking about how she got me and it makes her so happy I can't bring myself to tell her I was the one who told her the joke in the first place. I always watch ahead in Game of Thrones. They talk during each episode, and I can tolerate it better if I've already seen the episode. So masseuse's words, a lot. I'm a language guy. I get the feeling that that is a soft spot on her that previous partners poked pretty hard, so I just internally cringe and say nothing about it. I usually know what she's trying to say. One year for Christmas. She was trying to surprise me with something, but I hate surprises. I was out of a job at the time and didn't want anything extreme because I knew I couldn't return the favor. I told myself I wouldn't snoop. Just ask a few questions and express that I didn't want anything big. She decided to try and casually ask me if I was still interested in a concert for my favorite band. And I immediately knew. Her face gave it away. I knew she got tickets. But it was more. She got us meet and greet tickets. And I found out a few days later after her face kept giving it away. Christmas came and I was right. But I didn't need to act. I was really happy. It was an amazing gift. And we had an amazing time. She was so proud of herself for pulling it off without telling me. I'll never tell her I knew. Just because she was so happy. Several years ago, my husband, BF at the time, worked for a small company owned by a very good friend of ours. I spoke with the friend quite a bit, and he confided in me that my husband was not a good employee, pretty unreliable, and the only reason he hadn't been fired yet was our friend knew he was having a rough time after his mom died. I had also recently moved out of state to take care of my sick dad. My husband refused to come with me because he felt he couldn't leave the company. I was having a conversation one day with my husband and he mentioned another friend of his was having a hard time at this other company but felt he couldn't leave because he had a baby on the way. He said, I'd offer him my job if I thought my boss would hire him. So I conspired with our friend, the boss, to get the other friend to quit his job and pretend he got fired. My husband then decided the only honorable thing to do was fall on his sword and give up his job to give to the other friend. He talked with the boss and convinced the boss to let him make the move. And it played out like that and my husband moved in with me. He ended up getting a job he liked better and he was happier being with me, so his performance was better. We are still very good friends with the boss. To this day, we've kept the secret and it's been almost 10 years. And every time I see him, he whispers in my ear how proud he is that my husband was able to move in with me and grow into a much healthier adult. But we'll never tell him, because he'd be so embarrassed if he knew what our friend thought of him as an employee. My wife has a beautiful heart. I jokingly call her a Disney princess because any animal that she comes across she has to talk to and greet. She has cried by seeing a dead raccoon on the side of the road before. At the time, I was working day shift and she was working a swing shift. I had a busy day, but I saw she sent me some pictures of a young doe that was eating in our front yard. She seemed thrilled. I came home and saw the same deer, dead, on my goddamn porch. I felt like I started to hear the first 48 theme playing as I realized I have 6 hours to get rid of this thing before my wife gets home and her world is shattered. I call my local city authorities thinking they wouldn't want a dead animal in the middle of town. Turns out, they couldn't care less. I called some local raptor shelters to see if they could take a stat donation, but it turns out the dead deer business is booming and they didn't have a need for donations at this time, especially in the next 6 hours. Frustrated, I call my dad to vent and get advice on what to do. His response is only a hold on bud. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I go back inside to take care of the dogs and within the next 15 minutes I see me dad back his huge truck into my backyard, has the tailgate down and is knocking on my door with a pair of nitrile gloves on and another pair in hand for me. It was starting to get dark out, but we had that thing loaded up and found a special place to dispose it. We made it back with 20 minutes to spare before my wife got home. I haven't told my wife because I think it would either break her heart or creep her out at how efficiently my dad can dump a body. Anyway, wifey thinks her dear friend is alive and well, and totally not at the bottom of a ravine.